All right. Michael Burns, top of the morning to you, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you? Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Hey, thank you very much for making some time for me this morning. I really appreciate that. I know you're a busy guy and you got all kinds of, building projects and life things going on, but you recently shot across my bow this really, really good article. And so this is pretty incredible. I wanted to just take a moment and look at this with you. This is the article that you have with Invest Magazine, or I'm sorry, tell me a little bit about this because you just sent this to me, and this is a great read, and there's some really incredible things going on here. How did this article come about, and who is this, and what's going on?
Yeah, so a couple things. Invest Magazine is in major metropolitan cities, and two very critical things happened to us last year from a celebratory perspective of Invest Pittsburgh is what this magazine features. The top businesses and business leaders in the region get featured in this magazine, and we were blessed that they reached out to us. Edward is as humble as the Balling family is. He also knows that, as he mentioned, being a critical asset to him, seated right next to him, and the brotherhood that we have, he said, typically did the Bernsey run with it. So I met and spoke with Danielle, and I was complimented, Danielle Karlinski, who actually oversees it and sets it up. And she said that the greatest compliment I think I've ever achieved after the hundreds of people she interviewed, mine clearly was the favorite, with the energy and the passion and the love and even the disciplines that we have in place. And you pair that with our 110-year company and our family approach, and that led to the opportunity to be in the magazine and have the greatest interview they said they've ever heard to date. So
Nice. I like it, man. You are a humble guy too. That's what's even better. I love it. Well, let me ask you about this. There's some things in here that I think were pretty incredible that you mentioned in the article, and just going through some of them. You mentioned early on in the article about how challenging it was, or how challenging projects are funded, managed, and represented. So can you tell us a little bit about the challenges of, the funding, the representation, and the management of projects now are?
yeah, we have it's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that back up. We have such a deep, great portfolio with clientele. And with that being said, for example, I can come build a building for you and you can self-fund it. That goes the fastest. You can go build for client number two who happens to draw from a bank. That goes second fastest. And then if you get into any type of, urban development type projects, such as the big City's Edge project that we're doing, there's probably 7 to 8 to 9 different layers you have to go through. And all three of the mentioned above wants everything done yesterday. So it creates a lot of challenges and hurdles to get over, and you really have to stay locked in arm in arm with your team from the field all the way to the top of the company, and make sure that cohesiveness is there from a comms perspective. But it's not as, building those big skyscrapers and building these big, athletic facilities. We're about ready to kick off two big monsters, a third one right on the horizon. They range from putting a shovel in the ground super quick to getting out super quick to long delays. And everybody is in this, what we call the Amazon effect. You click it, you want it there the next morning. And when you're talking about 25, 30, 40, $50 million projects and how they're funded and what hurdles you have to go through and obstacles, it's fairly challenging to try to keep that, from a monthly draw basis. And sometimes Edward and I look at each other like maybe we should have Fairchance Bank and Trust, because we become the bank at times. So that poses a challenge as well. So but we navigate through it, and that's part of what our secret sauce is, that's mentioned in the articles as well.
It's almost not fair, the building mentality that Amazon put us all into, but it's something that you got to do these days, I
You got,
guess.
just like I said in the quote, that, and the young lady, when she put that together, adapting and overcoming is our MO. And that's exactly what it is. Times change, and you can't sit there with your bottom lip out, and you got to stay ahead of stay ahead of the wave and keep running and thinking while you're doing it. And we've done an amazing job at that.
Yeah, that leads me to this next thing. You had mentioned a mentality of being always forward mentality, and how crucial that is to navigate through the construction landscape. Can you talk about the always forward mentality and how that works for you and how you're implementing
Yeah,
it?
it's something I use even in my family, and it's something I use in mentoring, and it's something that I use even in coaching. And the greatest compliment to that is Jelly Roll. Everybody loves Jelly Roll. He came out with a song, and there's a reason why you're not looking in the rearview mirror when you're going forward. And if you're always poised at looking out the front window and not looking back at what baggage might be there and what issues or situations might be there, you're not growing. And if you always have that always forward mentality, as I tell everybody, and we have the greatest team. I don't care what my title is. I don't care what I do. Everybody knows what I do and they feel protected and safe at what I do and what we generate. But that's not important. I love empowering and building others. And my greatest joy is seeing a smile on Ed's face or on Zach's face or on Adam's face or Jenny, Andrew, Farrell, even Jim. That's the greatest compliment you can receive. And I've always been that way. And that always forward mentality is exactly that. We're locked arms and we're always looking forward. When the challenge is there, we face it. We don't turn around. We don't look back at what's there, and we just push through together. And when you push through together as a family and you push through together as a team, you're unstoppable.
Nice. I love it. And family is something that's big. Faith is something that's big, and it's big with me too. So I love that you bring that. Speaking of Fairchance Construction, what's it like being a part of the lineage of that 116 years that they're going through now? I mean, it's got to be a blessing. It's got to be a curse. Tell us a little bit about it and how you feel about that lineage.
No curse. It's 100% blessing.
Nice.
When you can God gave me big shoulders for a reason, and I think He put, obviously, Edward and I have the greatest story together with where I came from previously for 16 years. Edward and I were on the advisory council with Butler back in 2017. Uh, Automatically, out in Carlsbad, my family and his family merged. My sweetheart Heather and his Sarah merged, and little Edward on my oldest son's Jake's shoulders, and we knew something was special then, and an opportunity presented itself over a year ago. And I'm thankful that when I lay down at night next to my gorgeous bride of 25 years, I still have my sessions with God multiple times throughout the day. But I got smacked in the face one night, and Ed and I were bouncing back and forth when he said, "Michael, you got to get out here." I'm like, "No, we can't do that." And one more night, I got smacked in the face in the middle of the night. I called him in the morning. I said, "Hey, brother, I'm coming." And it's been special ever since.
Nice. I agree with that. And a lot of us are glad you did. That's fantastic. Now, you have a big Butler manufacturing background, and that's a big part of what you're bringing to FCC. And like, what is your path with Butler? How did you navigate with, like, how did you get involved with Butler? How did you navigate with Butler? And then how did that ultimately kind of lead you into working with FCC?
Yeah, so ultimately, my previous company I was with, great company. Things just, happen to change at the end, and all companies do. And as I said, an amazing opportunity arose with Edward. But we were one of the top builders, if not the top builder in Ohio for metal buildings. And the majority of work that we did, I would say 95% were pre-engineered metal buildings. And as soon as I started in the company back in late '08, early '09, I was always passionate, and you've even said it the same way with coaching. When I get my hands into something, I'm going after it 100%, and I'm not letting go. Kind of a dog on a bone mentality. And I went to a training session in Kansas City back in 2012, and it was an advanced training on winning customers. Some of my key colleagues still in the Butler world were in that group, as they were kind of what you call babies at the time before they came executives. And knowing the fact that I got the nod as the top person in that class, kind of standing out, was special. And I walked down the hall, and it was funny. Everybody kept stopping me saying, "Well, Michael, you can't go down the hall." And I said, "Well, no, I want to go see who the president is. I've never met him." And they said, "Well, you can't really do that." And I said, "Why? If I'm out pushing buildings for them, I want to know who they are, and they're going to definitely know who I am." And that kind of led to the Bernsey effect, as they called it,
Yeah.
navigating the walls in Kansas City. And still to this day, Sue's amazing, woman who runs Butler, and Kristen, the president of Butler, Cameron. I've been with Cameron forever. Greg Paisley, who is across seas now overseeing the mothership. All amazing people. We were just blessed to see them as well, as you got to share in our 110th 2 weeks ago, and you can
Yeah.
see the passion, love, and joy that we have for each other. So you take that with the knowledge of my steel setting background and what we can do and the size of the buildings we can do. And one of the biggest projects I concluded before I started with Edward was a 610,000 square foot distribution center. And when you just build those big, massive buildings and get known for that, and known for big athletic facilities that again carried over and followed us, it's just always been a passion of mine. And coming into the company, knowing that a 60-year heritage with Butler, back when Jim even signed way back in the day, was special to me because those same people that I love and the buildings that I love and what I've known to do. And again, you're working with a brother and best friend, and you cultivate that into a family. Well, why not? Why, every building in my world that we should be erecting should be a Butler building, and that's kind of the direction that we're morphing to. So.
Yeah, and how ironic was it that, you probably found that stuff out afterwards that FCC had a 60-year relationship with Butler, or, back in 1960, they had a relationship with Butler.
Yeah,
It's
it's
wild.
kind of funny. It is. When I walked in the conference room, I'm very proud. Every year, Butler has their annual meetings. And previously, we've been on stage and we've had several Builder of the Year just in the last 6 years, two of them to be exact. And we've had, you get what they call critters, you get bigger critters, and you've seen them in the office. And I walked in and I was excited right away, being the big Butler guy. And I'm looking up on the walls and I'm like, wow, 60 years, you get the eagle. I thought you guys would have been to the elk.
Uh-huh.
And I said, we're going to change that. And Mark On Deck, who I adore, um, with Butler, our area rep, I don't think there's a greater human being to add to the other great human beings at Butler. And it's a recipe for the greatest flavor that is about to, I think, happen at Fairchance. And to be a part of that, going back even what you said to the lineage of the company and the family, and you pair that together, and this something special is brewing, which obviously led to this interview. Pittsburgh Business Times just awarded us one of the fast top 50 growing companies, which I did an interview for them too. So something special is coming, and it's one heck of a joy to be a part of.
Yeah, there's some moving and shaking going on, and you're bringing it. You're bringing some of that music to everybody dance to and stuff. So that's a good thing. Hey, you mentioned in this article some of the bigger projects that people are involved with, FCC and you were involved with, and that City's Edge in Pittsburgh, and 200,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Huranic Corp's facility here in Uniontown.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about these projects and maybe your role in them and how important they are to you or whatnot?
Well, Huranic was one of my favorites right when I started. That was on the downswing of getting concluded. But just walking through and seeing what we did for Steve, amazing man, and his company and his growth and how we work with them. Again, I wanted to know where the Butler buildings were, and Ed took me to that one first and foremost. City's Edge was in progress as well. A lot of these big companies that we have that we're involved with right now, they're still ongoing. And it's such a monster in a way of all hands on deck, if you will, for downtown Pittsburgh, where it's at, what's going on around it. There's so many hurdles that it's not just 1, 2, or 3 personnel. We literally have the entire company invested into the success of this project, not only for the company and Edward, for our client with Midpoint out of Chicago, who we're blessed to work with. And we have challenges quite frequently, but that project and who it's with, who it's for, and the ultimate purpose has been a blessing. So we take good days and we take bad days with everything, but our always forward mentality is we're looking out that front window and we're keeping the gas down.
Yeah, that always forward mentality is a good mantra to have in the old back pocket.
Absolutely.
Nice, good on you. Okay, well, I mean, these buildings are fantastic, and there's a lot of big buildings that you're doing, and the glory in the big buildings are something really great. But something else that you mentioned in this article is how FCC does things for community members, small jobs. You even talked about putting in a doorway and repairing old buildings. What are your thoughts about being able to do these big projects, but also kind of, fostering the community like, Ed and his family has always done? I mean, that is a big part of their business, never forgetting those people and also being able to juggle these big projects. How is that, changing you or developing you or, having some insight on you?
Well, that's a great question, and I can answer that with two words: Edward Balling. Ed says absolutely no to anyone. He always is welcome and open to them, saying yes. With his family heritage and who he knows and how he introduces me, and whether he knows or not, he knows I'm a detail guy. He always says it, how I pay attention to the room, and you can just see the pride when he introduces me to people. And those are the same people that need a doorway, or they, when I'll get a pick up a call, and I love big buildings. You know that. It's my energy. I want big monster buildings. That's what we're going to be known for. It's what I was known for. It's what we can easily handle, and that's the direction that we're going. But I'll field a call here and there, and where Edward will send me a call and he goes, "Hey, Bernsey, do me a favor, track this down." And it's for a local church that he knows or a pastor. And for you to say no, then we're not being actually part of God's great peoples, and we're not being the knights, that we need to. And I'll touch on that later on something that's super special to me. But our ultimate goal is to help. And my greatest quote and comment that I ever love to live, is don't ever look down on somebody unless you're helping them up. And just
Yeah,
because
that's a
of the
good one.
fact that you have those bigger buildings doesn't mean, when you do smaller projects, heck, we've even done, some Dairy Queens, and we've even done, like you said, to the smallest of adding a door and windows. But the same joy that particular client gets resonates from lowest to biggest, and that's what makes us most proud to attack them all. We can't win them all sometimes, and sometimes there's some bidding involved in there and whatnot that the company goes after. But my mentality of the big things and Edward's heart, and you kind of comp that together, and Zach and Adam and the team kind of going after things. It's hard for us to say no to anyone, especially from a community perspective, and that all ties back into Edward and his family.
I love it. It's leading by example, and that's what they do, and that's what you do. It is such a good thing. And we even got Ed here. I had to make sure that we got Ed on the show, and he might not be talking to us there, but we got a nice picture of him. He is the man for sure.
Edward, and his family you can tell by the emotion on my face, is a brother and a family etched into my heart. And I will do everything with my capabilities to protect them and protect the company, and to be in this situation. And going kind of back what I said earlier about being a Templar knight. My job is to fight for God, fight for my family and my passion in Christ, and the same. They know the same. It's all over my office if you ever come in and see it. And being sorted with that Templar knight mentality is that's part of our secret sauce that many people don't know. So it's a blessing to be around them. That's for sure.
Amen. I like that a lot. Now, in the article, you mentioned something that is really interesting to me, and this is kind of the meat and potatoes that I wanted to discuss about with you. And that is the workforce development, both in attracting new talent and supporting growth among the existing employees. And I think this is an amazing thing that you are really bringing, because like what we're in now, we're in the week of women in construction, and we're spotlighting the ladies, and we're fortunate enough to have a lot of really good, amazing ladies here at FCC.
Yes, agreed.
But you're also talking about having a portal and educating people, and how you can have careers in construction. This is kind of, I feel new, but I feel it's like at the right time. We need all these new people to kind of, take the place of the aging folks that are, leaving the industry. But you're talking about this portal and, attracting new new employees to FCC. How are you doing that? And what are the steps there? Give us a little information, because this is fantastic. There's people out there, would really like to have a career in construction. How can they do it?
Well, that's a great question. And the mentality that my main man, Zach, boy, I tell you, if I say Zach, when I tell you the muscle that guy brings to the company, and to be seated obviously right next to me is, as we speak, interviewing people from the trade school that we just were blessed to complete a project for. And with us being a 110-year company, and that being 2 miles down the road, shame on us if we're not trying to purge and get, kids are going to school to learn and to get in the workforce in the industry. And if we're not that first contact to help them and to guide them, and There's times where we'll get applications on the weekly or biweekly, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we'll get 4 or 5. And as with us growing and having that community contact to building that, that's the biggest kind of guide that Zach and I've talked about when it comes to bringing and hiring personnel is, if we want to bring somebody in, we don't want to bring somebody in necessarily to fill an immediate seat. That's not really being the best steward of them and their career. And understanding what their career is and understanding that there's a potential blossoming effect at our company to help them get to that. That's the kind of personnel that we want. We're not really a plug and play type organization. And again, you can't be a 110-year organization without looking inside. Now, I know I kind of have a special outsider that was brought in, but a lot of people don't realize I've been with Edward for the last 11 years, and we've put our heads together on big projects and on a lot of advisory meetings all over the United States. And so that kind of brought forth and made sense to a lot of people. But, Zach's been in the company over 10 years. Adam Franzik's been in the company over 14 years. Dave, there's so many people in this company
Miller.
Who's an amazing numbers guy. I couldn't do what he does. Ask him, I just know what big buildings cost. And I'll ask Dave, what's this cost or what's that? Well, I would do this. It'd be this per square foot. It's just, so we got to find the next Dave Miller. We have to find, the next Zach. As I told him yesterday, I need a Zach Jr. Find him right now.
Okay, good luck.
And it makes, you're right. He's irreplaceable to me, but in the same token, they're out there. We just have to be smart how we find them. And that's not by the plug and play effect. It's by the foster and grow effect, right? So if we have an opening, I want to be able to bring them in, foster them, show them what our family is, show them what hard times are and how we go through those, and show them what adversity is, and having the intestinal fortitude. And when it's, I always tell everybody, bad news is still good news because that equals transparency. And again, reaching right up the street, pulling them in, fostering them, helping them develop what they want to be into a big company like us that you wouldn't think would exist in Fairchance, Pennsylvania, just 2 miles down the road from the trade school. And look at us. So that's one of our key, our key areas of growth that we're starting to attack. And like I mentioned earlier, Zach's already on it. He's looking as we speak. Matter of fact, he probably has an interview today, if I'm not mistaken, with one of them, because we're just growing.
And what is that trade school?
Yeah, so that the local trade school that was just done outside of Fairchance, Pennsylvania, we did a nice building that you've obviously filmed and taken pictures for. That was something special to Ed when he had the connection for that, and that was finished when I came into the company, obviously. But anytime you have that relationship with the trade school, we're not a one and done. The relationship's already been there with the client and fostered with the client, and we reach back to them by saying, hey, when these young guys and young gals get done, if they want to get into that actual construction industry, and this is what they're here for, we're 2 minutes down the street, send them our way. And it's we're blessed to have that in our back pocket.
Yeah, and that's at CTI trade school that we just did the science center for.
Yeah, and boy, can you shoot and make pictures? Wow, you can make a building pop.
Wow,
you're amazing at that. Yeah, you're amazing at that.
You guys make my job easy. Look at some of these buildings that you do. It's like photographing in the Grand Canyon. You just stub your toe, you trip and stub your toe, you take a good shot. And that's what you guys do. And I'm thankful as an artist to have you as in my portfolio, because, the pictures that I take, I utilize, good cameras and all that, and composition and all that. But, man, you guys have a great hand. You have great color. You utilize color like an artist when you're building it, and it really makes my job easy photographing these. And the portfolio that I've been lucky enough to shoot, which is your portfolio, man, it is gorgeous. You guys got some gorgeous buildings, and they just keep on coming. It is amazing how many of them you got.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. Well, a lot of this goes to who we have too, and going through Adam's head and going through Brad. At Desmond, we love working with Brad, and a lot of the work that we've done comes through his head and his staff's head, and putting us together as that core nucleus for these projects. This is the after effect on what you get. So it's not all just on us. It's part of our team aspect that we have that reaches even outside our walls.
Yeah. Well, also in this article, you talked about broader trends or innovations that are shaping operations today. And is there kind of, you're also talking about a Dave Miller and, needing to replace people like that and utilizing AI and, doing takeoffs and things with computers and stuff. Can you just talk about the trends and talk about the new, kind of electronic elements that are coming and that you utilize to kind of stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, we have, obviously everything's becoming technologically advanced on, AI with pricing and AI with quick development and quick building turnaround. But, part of our secret sauce that I can't talk about is an old school mentality that only
Yeah.
makes this new stuff possible.
Old
And
school is
I
still the
know
way to go. I think it's
old
great.
school old school will always be the way to go. You're not going to see me sitting in front of a computer. I have creative mentalities being a marketing guy, but you're not going to see me in front of a computer going with the direction this company's going. I'd rather be that old school guy with part of our secret sauce I keep talking about.
Here,
Shaking
here.
hands and meeting people is going to build buildings much faster and using technology and staring at a screen. So we have a lot of that old school fundamental foundations that will be part of the direction that we're going. But yeah, there's a lot of new technology out that clients want to see. That just in time inventory of having a building, snapping your fingers. Yeah, it takes 6, 8, 10 months, depending, 2 years, depending upon the size of the building. But there's tools that you can utilize for them to help understand quicker than looking at a sheet of paper saying, this is what my building looks like. It's a lot of lines. Whereas now you can almost see a 4D bubble, or, in 4K or 8K, and
Hmm.
you can do immediate cost per room. And, we're doing, one of our investors that we're invested with, we're also building his new office, and he took AI through his office and designed his whole office furniture that way. So it's just amazing what you can do just with pictures and spaces and IR cameras anymore with all the latest cameras that are out there, and what clients can see and what you can offer them on top of typically what we do. It's going into a direction that if you capture it right and run with the wave, you're going to be able to fulfill and check a lot of boxes that exceed what a typical client's looking for. But that client's not going to be there unless you have that old school mentality, and that's what's most special to us. It will still remain.
Agree, agree. And some of the things that I was thinking about were these components like the lead technology, the envelope sealing, and Jenny Balling's doing some of that offshoot right there. Creating some of the envelope sealing, opportunities, the spray foam, and those are kind of cutting edge technologies as well that you're able to kind of utilize right in the building process with the projects.
Yeah, they are with the AeroSeal and with the foam coming in, and the investment
Aerosol.
that we did. Yeah, with two big with our two big foam trucks that we have, and what we can provide into a completely sealed type unit. It's I go to her. She's a specialist with that, and it's a women-owned business, and I love what she's doing. We work together frequently when we know that there's a need for our client. But Jenny and B and everybody involved, even with that, it's nice to have that as well in our back pocket, especially with the new spray foam business and
Yeah.
the technology of that and how fast you can do things and what R value you can get and owning that and not subbing that out. Well, that's ultimately dollars and cents that the client doesn't have to pay for because it's getting subbed out. We're providing a better option and being a better steward to their budget, having those capabilities in house. And Edward and I and the family are still looking at other potential opportunities to buy and grow kind of what we can do and what we can self perform. But Jenny, with what she's doing and with what those areas that we can help our clients out with, it's certainly nice to have.
I think of it as like a Swiss Army knife. FCC is like a Swiss Army knife of construction companies. General contracting is like you guys have a little bit of everything, and you know a lot about all of it, and you guys are just ready to make it happen whenever, wherever.
Yeah, this is one thing that I'm very blessed. This is not a company of a very amazing, talented president. This is
Hmm.
a company of amazing, talented vice president with Zach and senior PM with Adam, and how talented they are, and even the staff underneath them, and Farrell running our dollars and cents every day, and Jenny being our corporate secretary, but also having her own women-owned business that we're a big fan of and supporting her, all the way down, to Marissa and Madison in the office, and it just everybody is extremely good at what they do. And that's why teams win, state championships. That's why teams win, NFL championships. Everybody is really good at what they do. And the pride I have is coming down the hallway and I open up that door and I better see smiles on the faces. I better see energy. I just, that's what I want. When that door opens up and that click from our safety door opens up and I peek in an office and you see those big smiles, there's a lot of talented individuals at the office, what they do. And that's just a nucleus for success within our doors.
Yes, and
Max
it's
and his cat.
yeah.
Max loves his cat, keeps him calm. I wish I could bring my Zeus, but I don't know how my Zeus would be at the office with everybody. So
One of the things that I've really found, just as a fly on the wall, or just a person looking at the company from within, is you guys have a tremendous mix of talent. You have the young talent, you have the middle talent, you have the older talent, and I don't think that you could have any better of a scenario for a company that has a 110-year lineage and it is ready to go into the future at the same time. I think the talent pool that FCC has and that is developing, it's like you're saying, it's a secret sauce, and I think there's a good stew of brewing.
it is, and I appreciate you saying that and seeing that. And as much as we're fans of you, I know you're fans of us. But for me to go to Max and since you haven't featured, he's brilliant. Max, can you help me out with this? Yeah, and Luke, one of our project managers, he calms. Gosh, that guy calms me down. I just go. He's got that Southern Texas accent, and he's just a fun guy to talk to. But he is a brilliant whiz. As is Farrell, mind you, but she's busy with our checks and balances at the office. But
Mm-hmm.
Luke's a whiz with. I think he wrote the Excel program for Microsoft, it seems like. So instead of me wasting time, I'll go to him saying, hey, can you help me out? And smile on his face. Yeah, you got it, buddy. But that's how we are. And then, people come to me and then we go to others and we just bounce ideas extremely well off of each other.
Yeah.
And there's probably 15, 16 balls in the air at one time going every which way, but their ideas, sending and receiving. And that's just the collaboration that we have. And that's why we have even our war room there, and our blackboard on the war room. And I'll always put FE2, which is huge to us. That's iron sharpens iron. And I'll always put a motivational quote in that war room, when people walk through there. And that's kind of our foundation for when projects get ready to take off. But that's where we take all that brain trust, if you will, and put it into one spot and start getting after it. So
What is that iron sharpens iron? Can you give us a little bit of embellish on that a little bit?
yeah, so it actually it's biblical. It goes back to biblical as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another, and it's been carried over into the athletic world, and it's been carried over into the corporate world, and we even do that. We feature that often, and at the end of the day, if I'm you put two great people together. You put Ed and I together, we're sharpening iron and we are steel. We are unbreakable, unmeltable steel. And then that just builds out and that builds out. But iron sharpens iron. So as one man sharpens another is something that's very critical to us. And I kind of introducing that to, we're not afraid of our faith. And I know a lot of companies are, and they're afraid of, who they might offend. We're here. We're all children of God, and we're all brothers and sisters, and that's our job. And we're going to be successful, and we're not in it to wake up every day and go to work on, if we offend somebody, that's on them, not us. At the end of the day, we're proud of who we are, and we're proud to be knights of Christ and love one another internally as family. So that's our MO.
Again, leading by what you do, showing the way, and leading by example. That's fantastic, man. It's great. Well, we've covered a lot, but I want to just leave us with one more thought. What are your goals and priorities for Fairchance in the next 2 and 3 years? I mean, you're here for the long haul. What are the next 2 to 3 years? What do they look like for you?
Then I want to see people, again, as you know, I talked about empowerment. I want to see growth. I want to see people move up the chain, and moving up the chain translates to more work coming, and the type of work that we're going after that's going to be, we're blessed for every contract and every client that we have. But then there's a way that we can also go after things that we're really good at and really focus on that. And ultimately, I'd like to see us climbing the stage and going after the Elks and the Mooses on the stage of Butler, with my passion and love for them and our history. And that's the biggest thing that even now, again, some things that are confidential to us that you'll see shortly take ground. And and shovels going in the ground here and there, and the bandwidth in multiple states that we have going on, and the clients that we have are just blossoming. A lot of amazing things are ahead, but we can't do it without a great team, and we want to make sure that we grow together and empower together. And I think something special is right around the corner, even in the next weeks and months, rather than the 2 to 3 year outlook. So just hang tight, keep looking, because the good things are going to happen.
Nice. Well, I'm excited and I'm glad to be a part of it. I know I'm only the photographer and video guy and media person, but man, I just feel like there's so many great things that I can report on. And
well, that's your title you're giving yourself. You're one of us, so we don't call you all those three things. That's what you call yourself. You're one of us, so we're blessed to have you flank us by our side when we do this together. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and it is awesome. And I thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy, so I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Let you get to your day and do some of the things for FCC. And thank you very much for taking your time and giving us some of the information about this article. This thing is great, and looking forward to all the great things you're doing. You keep up the great work, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Always a blessing talking to you.
Likewise. All right. Well, thank you, and you have a good day, and we're going to sign you off.
You too, my friend.